My name is Natalie Pierce, and I was 32 the day a manila folder tried to turn my wedding into a hostage situation. I was sitting in my boyfriend's parents' formal living room, the one with the white sofa nobody actually sits on, when his dad slid the folder across the polished coffee table toward me. Just a formality, he said, with that practiced, easy smile that had charmed PTA boards and charity committees for years. Our attorney drafted something to protect everyone's interests. This was supposed to be a quick check-in about final headcount, flower choices, and whether we really needed a chocolate fountain. Logan, my boyfriend turned fiancé, was at his aunt's bridal shower. I dropped him off with a kiss and a joke about escaping a room full of women ranking wedding centerpieces. Now it was just me and his parents, small talk about weather and traffic and how the big day was getting close. Then the folder. I pulled it toward me. The paper inside was heavy, expensive. At the top, in bold, it said, Prenuptial agreement. Okay. Not ideal, but not insane either. Some families did prenups. We lived in a world where marriages failed and lawyers got rich off the fallout. It wasn't my dream, but I could understand the concept. I started reading. Standard separation of assets. Fine. Provisions for shared property. Fine. Legalese that made my eyes blur a little, but still within the realm of annoying but reasonable. Then I hit page 4. In the event of dissolution of marriage, husband shall receive 70% of all marital assets, including but not limited to retirement accounts, real property acquired before or during marriage, investment portfolios, and business interests. I read it again. 70% of everything, including my condo that I'd bought outright before I even met Logan, including my 401k I'd been building since my first IT job at 23, including assets I'd accumulated long before anyone introduced me to the Hayes family. This gives him 70% of my premarital assets, I said, my voice coming out flatter than I felt. Logan's mom smiled, a tight practice thing that didn't quite reach her eyes. Well, darling, our son will be sacrificing a lot, she said. Children change things. If he needs to cut his hours or stay home more, that has monetary value. He's a kindergarten teacher, I said. He's not quitting. Her husband nodded like we'd already had this conversation and I'd agreed with him. He may need to reduce hours. Stay home when you're traveling for work. You'll keep advancing your career while he sacrifices. It's only fair he's compensated. We haven't even talked about having kids, I said. Her smile tightened another notch. You'll want them eventually. Our son deserves protection for the sacrifices he'll make. Protection is 50-50, I said. This is 70-30 in his favor for things I already own. His dad leaned forward, elbows on his knees, the good cop version of a warning. If you really love him, a prenup shouldn't matter. Sign it, and we can all move forward with the wedding. There it was, the thread underneath the polite words. And if I don't sign? I asked. His mom smoothed an invisible wrinkle out of her skirt. Then we'd need to reconsider whether this wedding should happen. We can't support a marriage that doesn't protect our son's future. I sat there holding the document, feeling my brain lag behind the moment. They had waited until Logan was gone, until it was just me and them, in a room where every cushion felt like it belonged in a museum, not a home. They'd ambushed me with 6 weeks to go before the wedding. Let me think about it, I said. His dad's jaw ticked. We need an answer by this weekend. The wedding's coming up fast. Then I'll let you know this weekend, I replied. I slid the papers back into the manila folder, tucked it under my arm, and walked out of the house that was supposed to become my in-laws' home. The sun outside felt too bright, the air too sharp. By the time I got to my car, my palms were slick with sweat. Driving home, my mind kept looping one sentence. They want him to get 70% of my life if this goes wrong. When I got back to our apartment, the place felt smaller, like the walls knew something had shifted. Logan wasn't home yet. I set the folder on the coffee table, stared at it for a minute, then went to change into an old t-shirt because my blouse suddenly felt too tight. He came home around 8, still glowing from the shower, arms full of gift bags and stories about his aunt crying over a blender. Babe, you should have seen the cake, he said, kicking off his shoes. They put her and Dan in fondant on top. It was... Your parents had an interesting conversation with me today, I said. He stopped mid-step. Oh, about what? I nodded toward the coffee table. Why don't you take a look? He set the bags down, picked up the folder, and started reading. I watched his face change. Curiosity, confusion, then anger pulling the muscles tight around his mouth. They drafted this without telling me, he said quietly. 70%? Your condo? Page 4, I said. That's the fun part. His eyes flicked over the lines again. He grabbed his phone, hands shaking a little, and hit his mom's contact. He put it on speaker without asking. Good. I wanted to hear every word. She picked up on the second ring. Sweetie, everything okay? What is this prenup? He asked. No preamble. A beat of silence. We were just handling the business side, so you wouldn't have to stress. It's standard protection. Standard? Logan's voice cracked. This gives me 70% of her property if we divorce. That's not standard, that's theft. Darling, you need to think long term, his mom said, her voice going all soft and wounded. What if she leaves after you have children? What if we don't? He snapped. What if we're happy? You're planning for our divorce before we've even had the wedding. His dad's voice came through faintly in the background. If she has a problem with it, that tells you something about her commitment. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Logan's hand tightened around the phone. If you had a problem with her, you should have said something earlier, not ambushed her with a contract while I wasn't there. We'll discuss this later when you're calmer, his mom said. You're being emotional. Don't you dare hang up on me, Logan said. You went behind my back. You cornered my girlfriend in your living room and tried to... Click. The line went dead. Logan stared at his phone, then at me. His eyes were bright, furious, and scared all at once. I didn't know, he said. Natalie, I swear to God, I had no idea they were planning this. I believe you, I said. I did. His shock was too raw to fake. He sank onto the couch, the prenup still in his hand. What are you going to do? He asked. Good question. I looked at the manila folder lying like a landmine between us and felt the shape of the future shifting. Our wedding, our families, the lines we'd have to draw. I'm not signing that, I said finally. The question is what we're going to do. Logan went to his parents' house the next morning. He didn't ask if I wanted to come. He just woke up, stared at the ceiling for a long time, then said, I need to talk to them alone, and got dressed in silence. I watched him pull on the faded blue button-down his mother always said made him look respectable, watched him comb his hair like he was going to an interview instead of walking into a war zone. When the door closed behind him, the apartment felt hollow. I tried to work, answered one email, read the same sentence 4 times without absorbing it. Every version of that conversation ran through my head. Logan yelling, his mom crying, his dad doing that calm, reasonable voice that made you feel crazy for disagreeing. He came back 2 hours later looking like someone had wrung him out. I met him at the doorway. Well? He dropped his keys in the bowl with a clatter and sank onto the couch. They won't budge, he said, at all. I sat down next to him, leaving just enough space that he wouldn't feel cornered. What did they say? He laughed, a short, bitter sound I'd never heard from him before. They said every smart person protects themselves, that I'm being naive, that you're manipulating me against them. My stomach twisted. Me? Apparently you've gotten into my head. He made air quotes, staring at the floor. I told them we're not doing their version of the prenup, that if we ever sign anything, it'll be fair and mutual, that they had no right to go behind my back. How'd that go? I asked softly. Mom cried, he said, like full meltdown. How can you choose some woman over your own parents who only want what's best for you? Dad just shook his head and said, I'd regret this when you drain my accounts and leave me with nothing. The entitlement made my cheeks burn. They didn't even pretend to be subtle about what they thought of me. They're threatening to pull wedding funding, he added quietly. Context snapped into place. His parents had offered to cover about $28,000 of our $45,000 wedding. Venue, catering, the band his mom insisted on. Deposits were paid. Invitations sent. The machine was already moving. Then we scale down, I said. Backyard wedding, smaller guest list. I don't care. He looked up at me, eyes tired. I care. Not about the big wedding. I care that they think money gives them control of my life. Before I could answer, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then held it so I could see. Group text. His parents, his 2 older brothers, Logan, and, because of course, my work email, pulled from the signature of some polite message I'd once sent his mom. We are disappointed in the choices being made. Until our son sees reason, we are withdrawing all financial support for this wedding. We love you, but cannot support a marriage that isn't properly protected. They copied my work email, I said, my voice going flat. Yeah, he said. His phone started ringing immediately. His oldest brother. He sighed and hit accept, putting it on speaker. What are you doing? His brother demanded. No hello. Just sign the thing. Hi, Ben, Logan said dryly. I had a prenup, Ben barreled on. So did Matt. It's not a big deal. Did yours give your wife 70% of everything you owned before you met her? Logan asked. Silence. Then, well, no, but... Then it's not the same, Logan said. This is insulting to both of us. You're going to blow up the family over a piece of paper, Ben said. Over a technicality? They're blowing up my wedding because they need to control me, Logan snapped. Don't put this on me. You're being dramatic, his brother said. Just think about it, okay? Logan hung up. His phone buzzed again almost instantly. His middle brother. He declined the call. Ben again. Declined. Then his mom started the real campaign. She called every day. Long voice messages about family loyalty and trust and how they only wanted what was best for him. She pivoted from "we're hurt" to "we're scared" to "we're disappointed" with professional ease. His dad took a different route. He started emailing Logan articles, divorce statistics, stories about men who got financially destroyed, horror stories about people who refused prenups and lost everything. Each link came with a note. Just want you informed, son. Think long term. Love, Dad. Classic good cop, bad cop. Mom with the tears. Dad with the logic. But the thing that really showed their playbook? His mom called my mom. My mom is a retired nurse who spent 30 years dealing with belligerent patients and arrogant doctors. She doesn't have a high tolerance for nonsense. She called me after, half amused, half offended. Got the strangest call today, she said. Your future mother-in-law wanted to express concerns about the marriage and asked if I could talk some sense into you. What did you say? I asked, bracing myself. I told her my daughter has plenty of sense and she should mind her own business, my mom said. Then I asked what exactly you'd done to piss them off. So I explained the prenup, the 70%, the ambush. My mom was quiet for a second. Then, they want 70% of your condo because their son might cut back his hours someday? Tell them to pound sand, baby, with both feet. A laugh bubbled out of me for the first time in days. Already did, I said. Or at least I didn't sign. Good, she said. You need money for the wedding. If they backed out, you call me. We'll figure something out. It won't be fancy, but it'll be yours. After I hung up, I found Logan at the kitchen table, staring at the prenup like it might rearrange itself if he glared hard enough. Mom called your mom, didn't she? He asked. Yeah, I said, sitting across from him. It didn't go how she hoped. He huffed out a breath that wasn't quite a laugh. About a week into this, he started wavering. We were in bed one night, the glow of his phone lighting the ceiling as he scrolled past another informative email from his dad. Maybe we should just sign something, he said. My heart stuttered. What? Not their version, he said quickly, but like a reasonable prenup. Show we're willing to meet them halfway. Maybe that'll make them stop. Meet them halfway to what? I asked. They ambushed us, went behind your back, threatened the wedding. Now you want to reward that? Not reward, he said, frustration sharpening his voice. I'm tired, Nat. I'm tired of the calls and the emails and my mom showing up at my school, and it won't stop, I said. You give them an inch, they take your whole life. If they win on this, there'll be something else. Our house, our jobs, our kids. It'll never be enough. They're my parents, he snapped. I can't just cut them off. Nobody's asking you to cut them off, I said, stung, but you can't let them run our marriage before we even have one. He went quiet. The space between us in the bed felt wider than the mattress. So I'm just supposed to choose, he said finally. You or them? That's not what I said, I replied. It's what it feels like, he shot back. The words hung between us, toxic. We lay there in the dark, backs turned, each replaying the conversation in our heads. It was the first real fight we'd had in months, and it wasn't about dishes or laundry or whose turn it was to cook. It was about the foundation we were building a life on, and who else thought they owned a piece of it. Eventually, he got up and grabbed a pillow. Where are you going? I asked. I'm going to sleep in the spare room, he said. I don't trust myself not to say something I can't take back tonight. The door clicked shut. I stared at the ceiling, the apartment suddenly too quiet, wondering if I was being stubborn or finally sane. Was I really going to blow up my own wedding over a piece of paper? Or was this the first time in years someone had tried to take something from me and I'd said no? Morning came too early. Logan shuffled out of the spare room, eyes red and shoulders slumped. He sank onto the edge of the bed and stared at his hands. You're right, he said. I blinked. About what? I don't know how to handle them, he admitted. I've spent my whole life putting their feelings first. I just default to giving in. And I know if we start our marriage that way, it'll never stop. I sat up, my chest tight. We handle them together, I said. Boundaries. They can be in our lives, but they don't get to run our lives. He nodded slowly. Okay. He didn't sound convinced yet, but something had shifted, a crack in the old pattern. I didn't know it yet, but that was the day we stopped trying to negotiate with his parents and started preparing to live without their approval. That was also the day the certified letter arrived. The certified letter arrived late afternoon, one of those thick envelopes stamped with the kind of legal insignia that makes your stomach drop before you even open it. I heard the soft thunk of it hitting the floor near our front door and thought it was another package. I wasn't expecting official stationery with a return address from a law office in the wealthy part of town. Logan got home 5 minutes later, still wearing the same exhausted face he'd left with in the morning. I was crouched by the door, holding the envelope like it might bite me. "What's that?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "But it's addressed to both of us." His eyebrows drew together. "From who?" I turned the envelope over. "Your parents' lawyer." He closed his eyes as if bracing for impact. "Open it." I slit the top with my thumbnail and unfolded the letter inside. It was 3 pages long. Dense paragraphs, formal language, and the unmistakable scent of money used to intimidate. I handed Logan the first page. As he read, his mouth slowly hardened into a thin line. "This is insane," he muttered. Because it was. The letter wasn't a request. It was a list of demands disguised as a path toward reconciliation. Their terms. We must sign the prenuptial agreement as originally drafted. No modifications. Postpone the wedding until we complete premarital counseling with a therapist chosen by his parents. Relocate the wedding to his parents' country club. Grant his parents consultation rights on major life decisions for the first 5 years of marriage. And the kicker? In exchange for compliance, the parents will generously increase their financial contribution to 75% of wedding expenses. I laughed. Actually laughed. The kind of laugh that feels like a pressure valve popping before you break. "Consultation rights?" I said, incredulous. "Like they're shareholders and we're a startup?" Logan shook his head. "This isn't about protection. It's about control." He skimmed the rest and shoved the papers back into the envelope like it was radioactive. "I need air," he said, pacing toward the balcony. I followed. Outside, the evening light was fading. The air warm with early summer. Logan gripped the railing with both hands, staring at the street below. "They think we're children," he said, "or property." "Both," I said quietly, "depending on the day." His phone buzzed. He ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again. Finally, he looked. 5 missed calls from his mother, 3 from his father, 1 from his oldest brother. He tossed the phone onto the outdoor table like it burned him. "What do we do?" he asked. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "We send one joint email. No phone calls, no debates, no softening." "What does it say?" he asked. I took a deep breath, that we won't be signing their prenup, that our wedding will continue as planned, and that their involvement ends here. He nodded slowly. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay, let's do it." Inside, we sat on the couch with our laptops open side by side like 2 soldiers drafting a ceasefire agreement. We typed together, sentence by sentence. "We will not be signing the proposed prenuptial agreement, nor agreeing to your terms. Our wedding will proceed as originally scheduled at the original venue, adjusted to our personal budget. You are welcome to attend and support us or not. This conversation is now closed." We read it twice, then hit send at the same time. Instantly, Logan's mom started calling. Again and again. 31 times in 3 hours. We didn't answer. We should have known silence was just the eye of the storm. The next day, his mom escalated. Strike 1. She showed up at Logan's workplace. Logan is a kindergarten teacher. Gentle, patient, good with children in a way that makes people trust him instantly. His mother weaponized that. The principal called him out of class to find her crying in the front office, claiming she was losing her baby boy to a manipulative woman and needed to speak with him urgently. Parents dropping off lunchboxes stared. Secretaries whispered. The principal tried to be polite, but by the time Logan got there, the damage was done. He called me from his car afterward, voice shaking with humiliation. "She came to my school," he said. "My school. In front of my coworkers. In front of parents." "Logan, I'm so sorry," he said, his voice cracking. "I don't know who she is anymore." I did. Someone who had lost control and was grabbing at anything within reach. Strike 2. They called our venue. When the venue coordinator emailed us, she sounded almost apologetic. "Oh. Hi, Natalie and Logan. We received a call from a couple stating they were the ones who paid your deposit and wanted to cancel your reservation. It didn't match our records, so we're reaching out for clarification." I stared at the screen. "They tried to cancel our wedding," I whispered. Logan swore under his breath. "I'll handle it." We sent proof of payment, our contract, everything. The coordinator responded quickly. "Thanks for confirming. We've noted that no one besides you two is authorized to make changes. Also, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. It's unusual. Unusual was putting it mildly. Strike three. They called my workplace. I was called into my boss's office mid-afternoon. I braced myself for a performance review or a client complaint. Instead, my boss folded his hands and gave me the most uncomfortable look. I got a strange call today, he said, from your future father-in-law. My stomach fell out of my body. What did he say? I whispered. He expressed concerns about your emotional state, suggested we check on your stability. He paused. Want to tell me what's actually going on? I explained, in the simplest possible terms. Family conflict, pressure, interference about the wedding. He nodded slowly. Figured it was something like that. For the record, your work has been excellent, but if they contact us again, HR will issue a cease and desist. We won't tolerate harassment. Harassment. Hearing someone else name it for what it was made something inside me snap into focus. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't overprotective parenting. It was targeted, calculated manipulation. And they weren't done. That night, Logan came home with a look that told me there was more. They're calling guests, he said. What? My cousin just texted. My mom told her the wedding was postponed and to wait for updates. My jaw dropped. We sat at the kitchen table drafting a mass email to 90 people. Please disregard any communication from Logan's parents. The wedding is happening as scheduled. Sending it felt like announcing our private war to the world. Logan's phone buzzed again. Another warning from his middle brother. Mom's planning something this weekend, his brother said. She wants everyone to come over for a family meeting, an intervention. She wants everyone to talk some sense into you. Logan stared at me horrified. I'm not going. We're not going, I corrected. We stayed home that weekend, locked the door, ignored the pounding when they showed up downstairs, watched their shadows under the doorframe as building security eventually escorted them out. And then came the text that landed like a hook in my ribs. All of this could stop if you just listen to reason. Sign the prenup. Everything will go back to normal. The choice is yours, sweetheart. Sweetheart. I felt the word crawl under my skin like something rotten. They didn't just want a contract. They wanted obedience. We sat at the dining table long after his mother's message stopped glowing on Logan's phone screen. The apartment felt suffocatingly quiet, as if the walls were waiting to hear what we'd do next. This isn't normal, Logan finally said, his voice a low rasp. I mean, I knew they could be intense, but this is something else. I reached across the table, resting my hand over his. We need help, not from family, from someone who understands legal boundaries. He nodded slowly. A lawyer. It wasn't a word either of us had imagined needing before saying I do, but here we were. The lawyer. The next afternoon, we were sitting across from a calm, sharp-eyed attorney whose office smelled like coffee and quiet power. Her name was Janine. We told her everything. The ambush prenup, the 70% clause, the withdrawal of wedding funding, the school incident, the attempt to cancel the venue, the calls to my job, the intervention, the harassment. She didn't interrupt, just took notes, occasionally letting out a breath that said, wow, I've seen a lot, but this is new. When we finished, she leaned back. Okay, first, the prenup, she said. A court would likely throw out something this one-sided, especially with evidence of coercion. Coercion, Logan repeated. Ambushing her alone, creating a short deadline, threatening to cancel the wedding if she refuses. All of that qualifies. Even if you signed it, it probably wouldn't hold up. The realization hit both of us at once. They knew, I whispered. They knew it was extreme. They didn't care, Janine corrected gently. This wasn't about legal protection. It was about power. Power. The words settled like a dark stone between us. Logan swallowed. What about the harassment? She folded her hands. Showing up at his workplace? Calling your employer? Trying to sabotage your wedding? All harassment. You have enough to file for a restraining order if you choose. I blinked. A restraining order? That's the nuclear option, she said, but it's available. I looked at Logan. His eyes were tired, but something in them had refocused, like he was finally seeing what I'd been feeling. Janine slid her pen aside. My professional advice? No more contact. Boundaries. Communicate only in writing, and prepare for potential escalation. People who need control don't give it up easily. Logan exhaled. We'll think about it. We left the office holding hands, but also holding the weight of a truth we could no longer ignore. His parents weren't trying to protect him. They were trying to own him. Uninviting them. That night, Logan stood staring at the living room wall, shoulders tight. I don't want them at the wedding, he said quietly. I didn't breathe. Are you sure? Yes, he said, looking at me with that soft, steady gaze I fell in love with. If they come, they'll cause a scene. They'll humiliate us. I won't let them ruin that day. I crossed the room and held his face in my hands. Then we do it together. We didn't message his parents directly. Instead, Logan texted his middle brother, the only one who'd been quietly supportive. We're uninviting mom and dad from the wedding. Their behavior has been unacceptable. Please let them know they are not to contact us, our guests, or our vendors again. If they continue, we will pursue legal action. His brother replied 20 minutes later. They're furious. Dad said he'll expose who you really are. Mom is crying. Just be careful. Expose what? Logan muttered. What? That I alphabetize my spices? That I pay bills on time? A small bitter laugh escaped me. You monster. But beneath the joke, a cold unease curled in my stomach. This wasn't over. The cease and desist scam. 3 days later, another certified letter arrived. Logan looked at it like it might explode. Open it, I said. He did. His eyes widened. Then he handed it to me. It was a cease and desist on official law firm letterhead, accusing me of alienation of affection, undue influence, coercive isolation, and threatening legal action if we proceeded with the wedding without a prenup approved by both families' legal counsel. I laughed in disbelief. Alienation of affection isn't even legal in this state. It's not? Logan asked, brow furrowed. Not for years. We sent the letter to Janine. She emailed back 2 sentences. This is a scare tactic. Ignore it. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt hunted. The competing event. 2 mornings later, Logan woke me with a stunned expression. You need to see this, he said, handing me his phone. On Facebook, there was a public event created by his mother. Family Values Celebration, June 12th, 4 p.m., supporting wise decision-making in challenging times. Location, Hayes Country Club. Our exact wedding date, our exact wedding time. I felt the air leave my lungs. They made a competing event, I whispered. For our wedding, Logan murmured. 37 people were marked going. I scrolled through the list. Aunts, cousins, family friends, even his oldest brother's entire household. A cold, hollow ache expanded in my chest. Logan sat next to me, voice shaky. Half my family thinks mom and dad are the victims. And the other half? I asked. They're texting me privately saying they know the truth. They're just afraid to say it publicly. We sat in silence, staring at the screen, at the digital evidence of his parents' sabotage, at the smiling profile pictures of people choosing sides. Choosing them. The people who tried to cancel our venue, who called my boss, who showed up at Logan's school, who created chaos and called it love. Logan's phone buzzed again, a message from one of his aunts. Sweetheart, we'll be attending the family gathering. Your mother is heartbroken. We hope you and Natalie find clarity someday. Clarity. I felt my jaw clench. They're gaslighting an entire extended family. Logan closed his eyes. I didn't think it could get worse. But it can, I said softly. And it will. One last betrayal. The night before our wedding, Logan's oldest brother called. I'm not coming tomorrow, he said. Mom and Dad are really hurt. They need support. Logan stared at the wall. Okay. That's all you have to say? His brother asked coldly. What do you want me to say? Logan asked. That I'll sign the prenup? That I'll apologize for choosing the woman I love? That I'll reward them for harassing us? A long silence. Goodbye, Logan, his brother said. After the call, Logan sat on the edge of the bed, staring at his hands. I guess it's just us now, he whispered. I knelt in front of him, taking his hands in mine. It's always been us. The wedding day. We hired 2 off-duty officers, security for a wedding that was supposed to be simple and joyful. We gave them photos of his parents with strict instructions. Do not let these individuals inside under any circumstances. The ceremony was in my aunt's backyard under strings of warm lights. 40 people came, people who chose compassion over chaos. Logan cried reading his vows. I cried reading mine. We laughed. We kissed. We danced barefoot in the grass. His parents never showed, but their absence hung in the air like a ghost, one that would follow us home. We turned our phones back on the day we returned from our short honeymoon, a quiet, 3-day escape at a cozy bed and breakfast upstate. For 72 hours, we lived in a bubble where no calls could reach us, no emails could manipulate us, and no one could tell us who we were supposed to be. When the screens lit up again, reality flooded in. 22 missed calls, 9 voicemails, 14 texts from numbers we didn't recognize. But nothing prepared us for the email. Sent to everyone, our wedding guests, our no-shows, their extended family, co-workers, distant relatives, even people I didn't recognize. Subject line, a mother's heartbreak. Logan and I read side by side in our quiet apartment, the air condensing around us like a storm about to break. His mother's letter was a manifesto, pages long, dramatic, painstakingly self-pitying. She wrote that she had reasonably requested basic legal protection for her son, but I had manipulated Logan against his family, that I had isolated him, that we had cruelly excluded his loving parents from the most important day of his life. She made herself and Logan's father look like martyrs. She made us look like villains. She twisted dates, events, tone, intention, turning every boundary we set into an attack against her. I felt my pulse pounding in my ears. Wow, Logan whispered, scrolling. She actually believes this. No, I said quietly. She needs everyone else to. Within minutes, replies began rolling in. Some supported her. Some condemned us. Some sent long paragraphs about loyalty, family values, forgiveness. But others, thank God for others, sent screenshots straight to us. They've lost touch with reality. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. None of this is normal. They're unhinged. Logan's jaw flexed. I can't let this be the only version of the truth people see. I nodded. My hands were already on my laptop. What are you doing? He asked. Writing a response, I said. One time. Clear. Direct. No emotion they can twist. Logan hesitated. Are you sure? I'm tired of being polite, I said. They've weaponized silence. I'm done with that. We sat shoulder to shoulder, crafting the cleanest, sharpest rebuttal I've ever written in my life. No anger, no accusations. Just facts. This will be my only statement. Logan's parents drafted a prenuptial agreement behind my back, demanding 70% of my assets, including property I owned before we met. When we respectfully refused and offered to discuss a fair agreement instead, they threatened to cancel our wedding. When that didn't work, they showed up at Logan's workplace, called my employer to imply I was unstable, lied to our wedding guests, attempted to cancel our venue, and harassed us at our home. We set boundaries. They violated them repeatedly. We got married surrounded by people who support us. We are happy, we are safe, and we are exactly where we choose to be. I will not be responding to further questions. We hit send, and then we blocked everyone who demanded apologies, explanations, or family unity, because unity requires respect. We weren't getting any. The final attempt. 2 days later, Logan's middle brother's wife called him. They want to reconcile, she said cautiously. Your mom said she's willing to forgive you both, if Natalie apologizes and agrees to counseling with their pastor. Logan stared at the phone as if it had grown teeth. Tell them no, he said. The line went quiet. Then, okay, I'll tell them. And that was the last message from his parents. Months later, life didn't snap back to normal. It settled into something quieter, heavier, but real. We rebuilt the savings his parents' withdrawal had obliterated. Logan picked up summer tutoring. I took freelance IT contracts on the weekend. We lived modestly, cooked at home, walked on weekends, found laughter again. The apartment felt different too, but in a good way, lighter, calmer, safer. Like the walls finally belonged to us, not to people who thought they deserved a say in our choices. We met with an estate attorney, set up wills, chose each other deliberately, without threats, without ultimatums. If something happened to me, Logan would get everything because I chose him, not because his parents demanded protection. And Logan started therapy, real therapy, not counseling chosen by his parents' pastor. He learned things about himself he'd never seen before. Patterns, guilt, the weight of being the good son, the fear of disappointing the people who raised him. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he laughed at how obvious certain things seemed in hindsight. Sometimes he mourned, not for the parents he had, but for the ones he wished he had. One night, about 4 months after the wedding, we were lying on the couch watching old reruns, my feet in his lap, his hand absent-mindedly rubbing my ankle. The TV flickered. The apartment hummed with quiet comfort. Do you think they'll ever apologize? Logan asked softly. I looked at him. Do you want them to? He thought for a long time. No, he said finally. I just wonder. You know the answer, I whispered. He nodded. Yeah. A pause. But it doesn't change anything, he added. I chose you. I chose us. I chose the life we're building, even if it cost me them. I leaned into him, resting my head on his shoulder. We're good, I said. We're really good. He kissed the top of my head. That's enough. And in that quiet room, in the soft glow of the TV, I realized something. The revenge wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, it wasn't public. It was simple. It was peace. It was love. It was building a marriage without interference or control. His parents got exactly what they fought for. No access, no leverage, no say. We got each other.